Welcome in, everybody. We are doing our second video of the day. I'm going to be covering the update on Brian Hooker and Lynette Hooker. I'm sorry, I promised you this morning on this morning's Nancy Guthrie video that I would do a second Nancy Guthrie video for today, but this is really important because we did one video on Lynette Hooker, and I was waiting to see because Brian Hooker, her husband, was arrested initially after she apparently fell off their dinghy on February 4th, sometime that evening. They left from the Cays harbor and they took their dinghy out to their boat. And Brian said they left at 7:30 that Lynette just fell overboard over the dinghy. She went swimming the other way. The waves took them the opposite way. It's, shark infested water in the Bahamas. And there had been a history of violence in the relationship, whatnot. And we covered one video. Ashley Banfield did a video and some interviews of the relationship there. And clearly, the authorities, the U.S. Coast Guard got involved. Bohemian authorities arrested him, and they only had until last night, Monday, April 13th, 11 p.m. Eastern, to either charge him or release him. And they ended up releasing him. So I want to just now go and remind you about the facts of the case and where we think it might be going, because I just learned from Ashley Banfield, bless you, love you. I was doing Nancy Guthrie. I have been kind of in my own head. If you missed this morning's video, go watch that. And but I was just thinking last night, my gosh, I'd love to go on Lynette Hooker and tap into the energy and how much more I could feel if I was on site with these missing people's cases, missing person cases, and get the energy. And here Ashley is there today, it would appear. Can't wait to see what her video is tonight, because last night she was in Florida saying, I'm leaving for Bahamas tomorrow. So really looking forward to seeing what she uncovers, because clearly Ashley believes, as my sense is, that we may find him arrested down the road. They arrested him because they felt there was something to the story that didn't make sense. And so perhaps there'll be more evidence that they can come forward with, that they'll discover, that might lead to another arrest. I don't know. Again, everybody's innocent till proven to the court of law, and it could be an accident. It could well just be an accident. However, it just, in my opinion, the stories don't quite make sense. So let's start back with not the 911 call. I apologize. There was no 911 call. Whoops. What was that? I mean, maybe that was a Freudian slip, because Brian didn't make a 911 call. So the story is that Lynette fell overboard, and despite being a strong swimmer, despite those being somewhat shallow waters, and it was a little windy that day because I did tap in energetically in my first video, and I did pick up the water being, there was some waves. And they had some history, like we talked about, we'll get into in a little bit. And he didn't call 911. He didn't call 911, and he didn't make the phone call until 4 a.m. in the morning. And where was his phone? There's just some questions. There's so many unanswered questions. And even if he ends up being innocent, God willing, if that's the case, I would hope so. Nobody wants to think anything differently. But my gut tells me, like Ashley Banfield's gut is telling her, that there's something more to the story. So let's listen to what those somethings are. And again, one of them is Kaylee, the young woman in the picture on the bottom to the left. Actually, sorry. Now that I see that, that's Lynette. I apologize. She looks so much like Kaylee in that picture. I'm going to play you the voicemail, and if I told you and reminded you that Kaylee has been on the media, we'll watch some of her clips because Ashley interviewed her as well as Lynette's mother. And not only did Kaylee track Brian's whereabouts the night before, and when he says he was paddling on the dinghy, he actually pinged with his cell phone back on the yacht. And why was there no 911 call if his cell phone was on the yacht, unless he left his cell phone on the yacht that night? I don't know. We really don't know. But he didn't call Kaylee, Lynette's biological daughter, that he's raised and known for her life. I mean, he's been married to Lynette for 25 years. She says he's her stepdad, although she doesn't consider him that. She's known him all her life, and he waits 24 hours to call her. And here's the voicemail message that he leaves her.
I just got a call from Booktown Search and Rescue, and I found a flotation device that I threw to Mom when she fell overboard, and so they haven't found her yet, but they can now focus all of their efforts in a smaller area, and they're still out there searching today. So I just wanted to update you and let you know. I love you. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
I'm just going to
Hello, honey. I just got a call from Booktown Search and Rescue, and I found a flotation device that I threw to Mom when she fell overboard, and so they haven't found her yet, but they can now focus all of their efforts in a smaller area, and they're still out there searching today. So I just want.
My apologies. I cut the second one off a little bit early by mistake, but let's go back to what your thoughts are. I'm going to tell you again what it says. It says, "Hello, honey, it's Dad. I just got a call from Hopetown Search and Rescue, and they found the flotation device that I threw to Mom when she fell overboard. They haven't found her yet. They're still out there searching. So I just wanted to update you and let you know I love you. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye." That's the message she got. But it's the nonchalantness of it all that makes me go, ooh, it's just weird. But listen to Kaylee and Lynette's mothers detailing and accounting of what went on in that relationship. Here's Ashley Banfield's interview of Lynette's mother, Darlene Hamlet.
Well, let's just sort of start from the beginning. Oh, I mean, what was it like when you got that phone call from Brian 24 hours after Lynette went missing?
With the lifestyle that my daughter and her husband lived, I had been preparing for that phone call for a long time. So it was short. I have news to tell you. Lynette's missing. Pretty much all that was said. And so later on in the day, I had to call him back. I said, I need more details. I said, this is not enough. And so he went through his day with me, and I broke down. So, I mean, what else would I do?
It's distressing to hear you say that with the lifestyle, it wasn't an unexpected call. Talk to me more about that.
There was a lot of good times and bad times in my daughter's relationship with her husband. A lot of highs and a lot of lows. When it was fun, it was really fun. And when there were bad times, there were bad times. And the fact that she had left him on numerous occasions before and continued to go back even after she had been hurt was something that was very difficult for me to understand. And I did a lot of crying, and I had to prepare myself for what I thought was someday going to happen, unless she finally decided she had had enough. I think they loved each other, but they were not good for each other. That's the best way I can say it. They partied hard. They lived a hard life. They lived a full life.
What was your impression of Brian when he was drinking?
When Brian drank, Brian could be mean, hateful, say unpleasant things. That pretty much describes him. He also got physical. This is not the first time there's been where I thought I was lucky to have Lynette in the past. This time, it's just like it just progressively got worse. And so this is where we're at now. That's why I'm on here. I kind of want to honor my daughter and tell her story, and also support my granddaughter, who's lived with Lynette and Brian. That was her mother and stepfather, and experienced a lot of things firsthand that I never did. I always got the phone calls when she was at her wit's end and couldn't take any more. So
You mentioned to me before that Lynette left Brian multiple times.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. She left him. It seemed like it ran in about a year and a half, 2 year cycle. And she'd come home and she'd be like 3 weeks, and then she'd go back. And then this last time that she went, when he had choked her and when she has the bruises on her back and took the picture to remind herself, she was here at my house in Florida, and she was looking for a job. She was going to stay in this house while we were up in Michigan and start over. She didn't want to. She was 50 years old and she didn't want to start over. She was embarrassed because her marriage was failing, and she went back. There was violence in this relationship that I can go back, oh goodness, many, many years. 2015, there was the police report that people are talking about online, and that was domestic violence because of kids. And my daughter's daughter, Carly, and Brian's son were in a locked bedroom, and they wouldn't unlock the door. Don't know why. I still don't know why they wouldn't unlock the door. But Brian and Lynette got in a fight in 2015, and he choked her and he hit her, and she had a black eye. Didn't show up that day, of course. I mean, boom, he hit her. And then they had the police come, and because Brian had blood on his nose and there was no evidence of any kind of struggle on Lynette's side, she went to jail. The whole case, it was done, but the damage was there. That was one of the first times that I knew that he could be mean to her.
And there was a choking incident as well. Brian was charged in a case where police said he choked his own, I think, 12-year-old daughter. Carly said she witnessed it. She had to go to court. And ultimately, the jury just acquitted him. But it just sounds like such a volatile relationship.
He did. He did do that. My daughter was the one that tried to pull them apart, and Carly did have to go to court. And so those are the kind of things that Carly saw. She saw him yelling at her, and so much stuff that Carly saw in their relationship. So that's why I wanted to support Carly, to make sure that people didn't think that she was just a stepdaughter, that maybe she didn't like her stepdad, and I wanted to support her when she says it was a volatile relationship. It could be a volatile relationship. Now, when you look on the sailing hookers, you would think that they were living their best life. Everybody smiles and everything is perfect. But the one thing that I made my daughter do is I said, I want you to document everywhere you go and everything you do, so I know where you are, because I needed that. And she made sure that she did that. When you go on the sailing hookers and you see Brian, they wanted to have a boat. She kind of wanted to have a boat in Michigan and a boat in Florida, or maybe some property in Michigan and one in Florida. But he wanted a boat in Florida and for the warm weather. But they ended up selling everything in 2020, house and the whole content.
You mentioned that she took photos. Lynette took photos of herself to remind herself. What was she trying to remind herself of?
Not to go back.
She wanted some evidence that she would look at and convince herself not to go back to Brian.
Yep.
So like I said at the beginning of this, everybody is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. And it could just be, even despite all the past, that he's innocent. I'm going to let you listen to Ashley. She's going to the Bahamas. She's there today because this was recorded last night. I'm so excited. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to play you some of Brian's clips, because again, he's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. And before that, I'll play you some of the other inconsistencies that Ashley's likely going to be looking to follow up on when she's out there. Listen in. This is cool. I've never seen Ashley boots on the ground, so this is going to be so exciting.
Hey everyone, I'm Ashley Banfield and this is Drop Dead Serious. I'm coming to you from my mom's house in Florida, hence the different backdrop. But I wanted to bring you this podcast tonight. It is April the 13th. Because tomorrow I'm headed to the Bahamas, actually. I'm going to start looking for myself about all of these different places that Brian Hooker said he was, right before his wife, Lynette Hooker, went off the back of the boat and he was unable to save her. I felt like the story was very fishy, just because I'm a boater, but I'm learning a lot more and I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt. I talked to someone today in the Bahamas who's very, very familiar with Elbow Key, actually, where Brian and Lynette were the whole day before she went missing on April 4th. And he said he was there April 4th on Elbow Key. At that time, said the weather actually was a bit blowy, and in the place where they were, just outside the channel where they'd actually moored their boat, this is frustrating. It kind of keeps the mystery alive, because my friend David told me there could be some currents there.
Yes, and like I said at the beginning of this, when I tapped into this, the first video I did, I tapped in energetically. I did a remote viewing, and I did feel the wave, like there was a decent amount of waves, but it was also because Brian was driving too quickly. So interestingly, it's just interesting to hear that coming from Ashley now.
The wind could be blowing. Would it be enough to separate somebody
like that, probably not, but maybe. I was kind of hoping for something more definitive, but I'm going to go there myself and talk to more mariners. I'm actually going to be going to a marina right there at Elbow Key, and I'm going to take the route that Brian and Lynette took to spend the day in Elbow Key, and the route that they took in the dinghy, supposedly to go out to their anchored boat where catastrophe befell them, according to Brian. And then I'm going to take the route that Brian says his dinghy actually drifted. But I have something I want to show you right now that I'm having a really tough time understanding that this is a guy who floated anywhere based on what his watch told those who followed him, because his watch was one of those watches that plots his course, and his stepdaughter could follow his course plotted along a route based on his watch. And she has sent it to me. And I'm looking at it saying, this looks an awful lot like the route the sailboat took from Marsh Harbor, where they spend most of their time, over and around over to Elbow Key for the day of fun, and then right back again in the exact same route, not floating willy-nilly with a broken oar trying to paddle for 9 hours. So I'm going to show you those. And again, I'm willing to suspend disbelief here because I don't know necessarily exactly the time. I'm going to talk to a captain who's more familiar with these charts and with the times and with these apps as well, just to get his take tomorrow when I get there. But let me just start from the beginning, because late tonight, just after 8 p.m. Eastern, Brian Hooker was released. You know, the Bahamian authorities determined that after a 72-hour hold, which was already an extension of a 48-hour hold, that they didn't have enough to charge him with anything that could hold him in a detention cell on Grand Bahama Island. So,
Say what? I was really surprised about this, actually, but let's listen.
Brian Hooker told investigators his wife fell overboard and vanished in rough waters in the Bahamas. And now he's being released from custody without charges, according to his attorney. He was arrested last week and questioned over the disappearance of his wife of 25 years, Lynette Hooker. He reported her missing after returning to shore on April 5th, according to the police. His attorney has denied any wrongdoing on his part. It's unclear whether Hooker must remain in the Bahamas or is free to leave. CNN has reached out to authorities for more information.
We quickly want to turn our attention right now to the Bahamas as the Michigan man set to be released following his wife's disappearance. Let's listen into this live.
I saw that you gave him a phone. Who did he call?
A family member to assure them that he's out and he's okay.
Is he allowed to leave the Bahamas?
I haven't gotten all those details. The first victory is he's out of here tonight, so I'm very pleased. And I'll try my best to assist him.
Does he have any family with him? Where is he going next?
I'll have to assist him. That's what we're going to try to work out now.
Any conditions on his release that you can share right now?
No, not at this time. I haven't really spoken to him. He came out, he was emotional, he was speaking to a family member. And so I'm just trying to get him somewhere where he could relax and de-stress from this horrible experience.
What was the first thing he said to you when he got out?
Thank you. Yes.
And what was his demeanor like?
Very emotional, especially when he spoke to his family member, which is understandable in the circumstances.
Has he told you anything he wants the world to know yet?
No, nothing, not at this time. I think he just needs a little time to process all that he has gone through recently.
Did he ask about Lynette?
He just literally walked out, so he hasn't had any time. But throughout the time that he was here, he was asking about her and he was focusing on her.
Where's he going to go?
We're going to try and figure that out.
How was he treated in custody?
Apart from the time when he fell, everything else was good. He was treated well.
Did you get an explanation for why there was such a delay for him to get out?
Well, when I spoke to the officers, when I finally spoke to the officer in charge, they said he was released and they were just processing it. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, just listening in there. That is.
So at the end of this, I'm going to play you Brian Hooker's brief statement that he made since his attorney just spoke. And like I said, and like it says at the bottom of the screen, everybody's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. They clearly thought they had enough to charge him initially, and obviously did not have either the evidence they were waiting to come in on, or made the decision that they still don't have enough evidence. We don't really know. He could be completely innocent, despite the fact that there is evidence to suggest, like Ashley said, he was on the boat, not looking through until 4 a.m. looking for Lynette and the history. But, again, innocent until proven to a court of law. Now listen to this. But I am also so excited and waiting to hear what Ashley's going to find out when she's there. Listen to this, and then we're going to listen to Brian's statement himself.
New reporting in the case of a Michigan woman missing in the Bahamas for more than a week. CBS News has obtained her texts about troubles in her marriage. Today, we'll learn if Lynette Hooker's husband, Brian, will be charged with a crime. CBS News correspondent Christian Benavidez is following developments from Freeport in the Bahamas. Christian, what more can you tell us about these text messages?
Michael, good morning. These messages show that Lynette was confiding in a friend back in 2024 about issues in her marriage, telling that friend that they had, quote, called it quits before getting back together.
Social media videos and photos posted by Lynette and Brian Hooker in 2024 show the couple happily living and sailing together. But just weeks earlier, Lynette told a friend their marriage was over in messages obtained exclusively by CBS News. In late 2024, Lynette told Marnie Stevenson, a fellow boater, "I guess it was just too much closeness. We decided to call it quits." When pressed if the two could reconcile, Lynette told her friend, "Not this time. It was real bad. I can't be out there with him." But within a month, the two appeared to be back together.
We knew that there were problems.
Lynette's daughter, Carly Aylesworth, said Brian's story about what happened the night her mom disappeared doesn't add up.
I wish he wasn't detained. Like I really hope that this was an accident, but I just feel like a moment of anger from him has done something where he can't undo it.
Brian told police his wife fell overboard from their 8-foot dinghy during a nighttime ride on April 4th. He repeated a similar story to the Stevensons in a phone call last week. They recorded that call.
She basically just bounced off the dinghy in the middle of a little blow.
These maps with drawings from Brian may provide the most detailed account of what he says happened that night. The 59-year-old told friends he shared the images with boaters and law enforcement to help search and rescue teams. Brian was arrested by police Wednesday and has gone through several hours-long interviews, according to his attorney.
He was questioned in relation to causing harm, which resulted in her death, but we have no evidence that any body has been recovered.
His attorney tells me that police...
So just a reminder, that last clip was before he was charged, then he was charged, and then he was released. And now this is his statement that he gave after he was released last night at 8 p.m. Eastern from the Bahamian jail, which he was again arrested for when we don't know what the charges were, but he was held and then released for Lynette's disappearance.
After Bahamian authorities released him from custody without pressing charges in his wife's disappearance. What was it like being in police custody, knowing that the search was still ongoing for your wife?
It was hell. It was a different chapter of hell and a giant hell that I'm in.
You're still in it.
Yes, I don't have a wife. She belongs with me.
Hooker, who plans on staying in the Bahamas, overcome with emotion as he returns to searching for his wife.
My only focus is to go back to the boat and then hire or beg people to help me go find some areas to search.
Is that what's next for you?
That's what's next for me until my visa runs out.
And in a new audio recording, Hooker opening up for the first time about what he says happened in the immediate moments his wife Lynette was lost at sea after falling overboard on their dinghy more than a week ago.
She basically just bounced off the dinghy in the middle of a little blow. She had the spare dinghy key in her dry bag, which was with her.
This conversation with friends recorded the day before he was arrested, Hooker recalling how he immediately lost sight of her.
The wind blew us apart so fast that I think she tried to swim back to the sailboat, back to our sailboat. I yelled to her that I lost the oar, and I threw the anchor out and anchored the dinghy, and I yelled. I couldn't see her anymore.
The 58-year-old claiming he tried to rescue her. What was the last thing that you remember saying to each other?
Without going into a lot of details because of the ongoing investigation, I will always think there was something I could have done differently. My one job was to look out for her, and that has not happened. And I'm going to keep looking out for her now as best I can.
So we'll keep an eye out on the story. We'll see whether or not Ashley uncovers some new information. Tell me what you think below. Is this just, a history of a relationship that had some issues, but this was simply an accident? Or is it a case of there's something here that the authorities just not yet can prove? Tell me what you think below. Thank you for being here. Love and light.